Zhu Xiaodong, born on November 28, 1987, in Shanghai, China, had a challenging childhood with his parents divorcing in 1997 and the untimely death of his aunt and uncle in a car accident shortly thereafter. He attended Shanghai Nanhu Vocational School, but left at 19 to work as a clerk in a shopping mall. Despite his modest income and frequent periods of unemployment, Zhu had a penchant for luxury, often splurging on expensive clothes and indulging in online gambling. Zhu's family, while they cared for him, were not particularly supportive. His father started a new family after the divorce, and his mother's attention was divided between him and his cousin. Zhu's high school years were also marked by involvement in a gang robbery, leading to his arrest. Zhu placed great importance on his appearance, often receiving compliments from neighbors and acquaintances for his well-groomed look and pleasant scent. This was a result of regular exercise from high school, which saw him lose 72 kilograms of weight. He frequently posted pictures of himself online, eagerly awaiting ratings and comments on his appearance. Meanwhile, Yang Leiping, born just a few days earlier on November 22, 1987, also in Shanghai, graduated from the Chinese department of Shanghai Normal University. She later worked as a Mandarin teacher at the primary school of the affiliated school of Shanghai, Jinyuan Senior High School. Described as shy but gentle and kind, not much else is known about her background. Zhu and Yang crossed paths in 2012 at a high school reunion. Zhu was immediately smitten, and despite their limited interaction, he was keen on pursuing a relationship with Yang. He even got a tattoo that read in endless love. On October 2013, Zhu and Yang officially started dating. Their relationship was fraught with tension as Zhu's infidelity became apparent. Despite this, they got married on May 28, 2016. Zhu continued his affairs even after their marriage, leading to a strained relationship. When Yang discovered Zhu's infidelity, he promised to cut ties with his mistress, even offering to write a legally binding document to that effect. However, he broke his promise within a month. Their marriage was on the rocks, and on August 25, they went to the Civil Affairs Bureau for a divorce. However, the proceedings were halted, and they remained together. Their relationship deteriorated further, culminating in a heated argument on October 15, 2016 during a trip to Hangzhou. The argument escalated, and Zhu ended up strangling Yang. After confirming Yang's death, Zhu hid her body in their freezer and embarked on a spending spree using her money. He traveled extensively, purchased luxury items, and continued his affairs. He also installed spy cameras focused on the freezer and set up a live feed to monitor it remotely. Zhu also logged into Yang's WeChat and Weibo accounts, sending messages to her mother, pretending to be Yang. Despite the suspicious messages, Yang's family remained unaware of her fate. Zhu's actions following Yang's death reveal a chilling disregard for her life and a desperate attempt to maintain the illusion of normalcy. On November 21, her beloved cat, a companion of 10 years, passed away. When her mother shared the sad news via text, she responded with a series of crying face emoticons before casually mentioning that she was out of town. As the weeks passed, more suspicions arose. On December 2, Yang's second cousin, who lived a mere 5-minute walk away from Zhu and Yang's apartment, encountered Zhu alone, having not seen Yang in person for some time. She asked Zhu about her whereabouts. Zhu quickly explained that she had just finished a shift at school and had gone straight to bed, swiftly changing the subject. On December 14, her mother texted Yang again, inquiring about her location and why she hadn't returned her calls. Yang avoided explaining her whereabouts and claimed that her phone was broken, preventing her from making or receiving calls. On December 24, her parents had prepared Christmas gifts and were waiting at the aforementioned cousin's house for Yang to join them. but each time she was either out of town or had a change in plans. New Year's plans were set on December 30, when Zhu made a brief appearance to say he was too tired and that Yang was sleeping at home. Zhu left soon after, taking with him the Christmas presents that Yang never claimed. Interestingly, Zhu was seen leaving in the opposite direction of their home. On January 28, 2017, Yang mentioned that she was going to Hong Kong with Zhu. On January 29, her family waited at her home for her return, but she never arrived, claiming her flight was delayed. During this time, Yang also made numerous posts on her social media, allegedly showing her at famous landmarks in Shanghai and beyond. Zhu couldn't maintain the charade indefinitely. February 1, 2017 marked the 60th birthday of her father, and Zhu, posing as Yang, had already committed to attending the celebration. Her family was determined not to let her miss this event, as she had all the others. They were prepared to have the birthday celebration at her house instead, or to show up and not leave until she agreed to go. During the celebration, while everyone was waiting for Yang to arrive, Zhu was alone in his apartment. He called his mother, and when she arrived, he confessed everything. His mother persuaded Zhu to confess and drove him to the police station, where he turned himself in. It wasn't long after, during the birthday celebration, that Yang's family learned the truth, that the text messages from Yang were actually from Zhu. The police entered their apartment not long after this confession and opened the freezer. They discovered the quilt under which Yang's body was hidden, with frozen food stuck to it. Due to the length of time she had been in the freezer, the police struggled to retrieve her body, but when they finally did, and managed to remove the now frozen quilt, Yang's body was in a horrific state. Yang's body had been left in the freezer for 106 days, unmoving in -30-degree temperatures. Her whole body was black and purple. The skin was dry and cracked, and fell off at the slightest touch. Her body was curled up and very thin. Medical examiners' findings matched Zhu's confession. Yang's cause of death was strangulation, with the freezer having preserved her enough for the ligature marks to remain, and the cause of death was 3-4 months, which matched with Zhu's claim that he strangled her on October 17. When Zhu was interrogated by the police, he said that on January 31, the day before his confession, he claimed to have disposed of her cell phones and ID cards by throwing them into the Suzhou River, and had attempted to kill himself by hanging himself from the drying rack of the balcony, but was unsuccessful as the iron frame broke due to his weight. As a direct consequence of his arrest on February 2, Zhu's grandmother was unable to accept that her grandson was a killer and suffered a mental breakdown before falling ill, passing away in the hospital that same day. Zhu's trial began on November 29, 2017, at the Shanghai No. 2 Intermediate People's Court. He refused the court-appointed lawyer and paid for his own, likely using the money he stole from the deceased Yang's bank accounts. Zhu and his lawyer argued that the crime was an unplanned crime of passion, and that a lighter sentence was warranted due to his remorse and taking responsibility, as during proceedings he uttered this phrase, "If I had a choice, I would exchange my life for Yang Lieping's life." The prosecutor disagreed. Zhu, rather than calling the police, he kept Yang's body in a freezer for 106 days and used her bank accounts and cards to fund a temporary life of luxury and travel. Not only that, but Zhu posted pictures of his trip, and while in South Korea on October 24, he posted a picture of him at a restaurant table, and the hand of a woman was seen in the shot. In the shot, when commenters asked Zhu who he was unwilling to answer, which implied to the prosecution that he had brought another, as of now, unidentified mistress on him with his travels. He also disposed of Yang's cell phones and ID cards, as well as impersonating her online to devise her friends and family into believing she was still alive. On the same day of the murder, he purchased cameras pointed at the freezer that would send a feed to his phone if anyone even approached the freezer. The prosecutor argued that had he seen someone near the freezer, he would kill them too in order to keep the secret. And while Zhu did turn himself in, it was only because it was impossible to keep up the ruse for any longer. If it wasn't for Yang's father's birthday, he probably would have kept Yang's body in the freezer until at least spring or summer, when he would dispose of it in a field. Her frozen body suddenly being exposed to hot weather would have decayed and decomposed, rendering identification quite difficult, if not impossible. So even if Yang's family reported her missing, they would not connect the corpse in this hypothetical scenario to her. And why did the prosecutor think this? Well, not only did he call into question Zhu's remorse, but he made a compelling argument in favor of premeditation. On September 22, 2016, Zhu purchased the freezer without any input from Yang. The freezer could not fit anywhere in their home, except for the balcony. The freezer was seemingly useless and unnecessary for them. Zhu claimed that he purchased it to store meat for his pet snakes, lizards, and frogs. Zhu, however, never used it for this purpose, and the prosecution and Yang's family argued that he bought it specifically to store Yang's body. He also brought Yang to the school she worked at. Zhu told Yang a lie, and that lie was that he got a job promotion which would require them to move to Hongkou. Yang was brought to the school so she could resign. According to the principal and those present, Yang hesitated but did resign at Zhu's behest. The resignation was accepted on October 14, ensuring that her place of work wouldn't ask about her whereabouts. And most damningly, in August, the same month, they almost divorced. He purchased 2 true crime novels that he mailed to his father's residence. One of the cases in the books was eerily similar to how Zhu murdered Yang, including the part where the corpse would be disposed of in the spring or summer months. On August 23, 2017, the court finally reached a verdict. They found Zhu guilty and agreed that the crime was likely premeditated and Zhu's remorse disingenuous. He was given the death sentence. The sentence was appealed, and as is procedure with death sentences in China, Zhu's sentence was automatically sent to a higher court for approval. The second trial began on December 13, and on July 5, 2019, with Yang's relatives waiting outside the courthouse, Zhu's death sentence was upheld. Zhu Xiaodong was executed on June 4, 2020.